listening to The Breakfast Show on Faith FM. It's now the time for our interview. Olive Orate, she works for ADRA Australia. She's the International Programs Director, and we're going to learn a little bit more about what work she does, Lawson. So, Olive, welcome to The Breakfast Show. Thanks for talking to us this morning.
Well, thank you for having me, and a good morning and to you all over there at the studio and to those who are listening this morning.
Thank you so much. Olive, tell us a little bit about, your work. But before, tell us a bit about your background. Are you, where are you from? Tell us a bit about your family. How long have you been working for ADRA?
Yeah, I'm originally from the Philippines. I moved here around 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago, and I work with ADRA since 2005. So I started in Vietnam, and then when the tsunami happened, I moved to Thailand and to Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Laos, and before coming here. And I work in different faith-based organizations. And yeah, I am with my family here, and I have a sister, so we are here in Sydney.
Oh, that's very nice. Wow, 20 years working for ADRA. That's quite a milestone to celebrate. So you're the International Programs Director. What do you do? What does your job description? What are some of your goals there?
As the International Programs Director, we are my unit. I head the unit that is in charge of most of our development programming, meaning the long-term program. We have different units like the emergency, and disaster, who's in charge of that, and our national program, another unit. So under my unit, we handle 10 countries, and we make sure that we reach several communities that are unreached by this kind of program or by the government, making sure that those who are underprivileged or no opportunities are reached by our programming.
Okay, so where are these countries located? Are they all South Pacific based? So you said 10 countries.
The 10 countries, we have 4 in the Pacific and 4 in Asia, 3 in Africa, and we have the Middle East, Lebanon. Oh,
wow. So all of them are supported by ADRA Australia? So ADRA Australia kind of adopted these countries?
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Yeah, for ADRA Australia only, but ADRA, as a network, we are present in 110 countries around the globe.
Okay. And so what kind of projects do you do? So, you're talking about quite a diverse range of countries, cultures, needs here. What are sort of what kind of projects is ADRA involved with?
Yes, so ADRA is the humanitarian arm of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So we do 3 things. My unit is in charge of the long-term development programming to alleviate poverty. And as I mentioned, the Pacific, Asia, Middle East, and Africa, we try to work with the communities to improve health, education, and livelihood. And we have another unit to help during times of disaster, both outside of the country, like Ukraine, for example, Yemen, Bangladesh, for example, and disasters like recently in the North New South Wales, where we supported our churches there. In the recent flooding and heavy rain. Here in Australia, we also work with Adventist churches to run food pantries, for example, counseling, op shops, gardens, community gardens, and support people going through hard times. Yeah, so we work with a lot of volunteers, church volunteers, not only really to hand support, but also to those who are having hard times to come to our centers, for example, so they can at least feel that they belong.
Yeah, that's very nice. Actually, Oliver, I'm curious about one thing here. It looks like ADRA does a big, a wide range of things in helping people to survive, to develop livelihoods over the long term. You mentioned the education branch. You also mentioned the disaster relief. Is there any specific activity that ADRA does that it's like kind of your favorite, that you enjoy the most being involved with?
For me, it's not a specific activity, but when we work with women and children and elderly, what we call in the industry the most vulnerable, when we work with them, we know that our impact goes a long way. All of our messaging, and I'm a little bit biased in terms of working with women, especially women leaders, who carries all the messages of health, for example, back to their families. Those who are really working to uphold this family to go through hard times. And whatever it is, whether it's livelihood, whether it's health or education, I'm pretty biased with working with women because of the retention and how women and elderlies and children really is, upholding and really sustaining those messages and those learning all through the lives. So yeah, that's my inkling.
I'm wondering if, would you have could you share with us maybe a small story about maybe a recent time that you were working, with some of these ladies perhaps, and you really felt like, wow, this feels so good. I'm so glad that God allows me to do that kind of work. Can you give us an example of the things that really bring joy to your heart?
Yeah, so I recently visited Nepal and Kenya. So there's two stories there. So in Nepal, we did some livelihoods, and as you know, there are several caste system or several women who are affected by this or impacted by marginalization, where they are set aside by the society. One example I can give you is the story of Leela. And before the project, she had very little income and often had to borrow just to make ends meet. But she joined the project 6 years ago. So we recently wrapped up a project there called Go, generating opportunities to advance livelihoods in Nepal. And she joined that 6 years ago. And I recently came back and redesigned a new project in another area at the border of India. So Leela has to buy from several, loan sharks or neighbors or other places just to feed the family and send the children to school. But she joined the Women's Savings Group. She received some training on climate smart farming, for example, and began producing vegetables she could sell. With that income, she paid off her debts, sent the children to school. And right now when I talked to her, she was so grateful. And recently, our team visited her and featured her in our campaign store. So you can visit our website to know more about her.
Oh, very nice. So how do we get to know more stories about that one of how ADRA is changing lives? So what's the website?
So you can go to adra.org.au/donate. When you are there, you can see Leela's story and many other stories of women or those who are marginalized, very poor, and be inspired about how we do and how we can contribute to this work.
Oh, that's very good. So you mentioned about this goal. Generating what was the acronym again? I really like
it's generating opportunities.
Generating opportunities.
Yes.
And so when you get to a country, how do you start this development project? How do you decide where to go, what city, what kind of activities to do? What's the process? Or you just kind of come from Australia, say you just get a map, you just randomly place your finger in a place and say, yeah, we're going to go there and teach people how to plant food, for example.
You can do that, but usually you can do that and really pray really hard that the Holy Spirit will guide you. Or you can go to your strategy and a lot of planning. Starting a development project is not really just identifying problems and prescribing solutions, really. It's really about listening. At ADRA, we begin by going to the community. For example, when I went to Nepal, recently, we did as I mentioned earlier, the co-design. Usually we ask the communities what are their hopes, what are their dreams, what are the biggest challenges their family faces, for example, what strengths they have there. It's a collaborative process and making sure that we choose a community not only because they need something, but because they will have a potential for strong collaboration that can really sustain this program. And we also invite the government partners and other community groups that can continue the work after the life of the project. So in short, we begin with people, listening to their stories, working with them, and building solutions together. Because you know what? Real change happens not when we bring answers, because they have the answers. They just need opportunity or unlock their own potential. Working for 20 years, this is what really I have learned and lived in these countries. I have learned that you really have to listen to people, and not they have the solution really and the potential to really solve that problem. They just need opportunity.
And Olive, a question that I often hear people asking is that, you know, all of this humanitarian work, I believe it's good in and of itself. But at the same time, ADRA is, as you mentioned, the official humanitarian development agency of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and the Seventh-day Adventist Church is all about sharing about Jesus with people. So
yes.
How are those two things connected? Is ADRA able to, because can there be sometimes a conflict between giving humanitarian aid, but also people feel that, hey, are you doing this so that you can push your religious views on us? How do you navigate that space? So that because the other extreme would be we just give something, but we never even talk about Jesus with people, so they don't even know about the most important development aspect, which is to have the opportunity to connect with Jesus Christ. So how do you navigate these two
things? We call that in our industry nexus. A very, very good question. I really like that. You know, I worked with ADRA because I have a mission. I am a third generation Seventh-day Adventist. So therefore, when I do my work, it has to be part of my mission. Our behavior and decision is driven by our core values, and my values is shaped by my faith as a Seventh-day Adventist, right? It's the same as ADRA. Our core values is, in the very core, is our doctrine, and as our faith as Seventh-day Adventists. So therefore, we shape our questions. For example, we use values-based approach, and values-based approach and is really asking what are the core values of the community. Based on that, we cannot really change the values, but only change behavior and practices. This is aligned to what we believe in Seventh-day Adventist Church. We cannot open the Bible, for example, in Bangladesh or in Yemen when we go, or Lebanon, right? But it doesn't mean that we cannot practice our faith and our doctrine when we speak to people. I tell you what, when I was in Laos, I even did the vacation Bible school. Do you know that? You have attended that growing up? I attended it growing up. I call it vacation value school. I even tell the story of the three lost, right? The lost coins, the lost sheep. You don't need to open the Bible and tell blatantly that we are here for this agenda. But because you're a faith-based organization, you align all of your messaging to your doctrine and to what you believe. And nice. In ADRA, we don't necessarily, as I said, open the Bible or really proselytize or we baptize people, but we soften the soil so the Holy Spirit can come in. Yes. And that's how you start. Not even in the church, you don't really ask your friend who doesn't believe in the Bible to immediately, you have to baptize, right? You soften the soil. You just introduce and let the Holy Spirit come in.
Absolutely.
And that is how we do with this nexus, how we combine our doctrine and faith to the work that we do.
Oh, wow. That's absolutely, that's lots of wisdom necessary there, and I really appreciate that approach. Olive, we are running a little bit out of time, but I actually want to ask, how can people participate or contribute to ADRA? Are the donations tax deductible at all?
Yes. First and foremost, we need prayers. Our work is not that easy. We travel a lot and we go to places where many of them are not safe because, as you know, we reach those unreachable, right? The areas where not so many would like to go, and where we go, we need prayers, the first thing. And the second thing is, our work is not possible without the generous supporters. So you can give directly to ADRA online, as I said, adra.org.au/donate, where you can get Lila's stories as well and other stories that we have, or by calling our friendly team at 1-800-242-372. All donations, as you asked, 2 and above are tax deductible. And this is what I do personally since I came here in Australia. I'm so grateful that when you donate, you can actually put that up when you file your tax, and you can refund some of this money. We are so grateful for the opportunity to serve, but we cannot do that without our supporters, really. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And the number that, again, if anyone needs, is 1-800-242-372, adra.org.au/donate. Olive, thank you so much for sharing some of your work, what you do. All the best, all the success with ADRA's work. And we're looking forward to have you talking to us again another time here on the show.